What's going on, beautiful people? Thank you guys for tuning in once again. One family, one love, one heart. I appreciate and love every single one of you guys watching. May the spirit of the mushroom, may the spirit of LSD, ergot, may the spirit of DMT, of psilocybin, of peyote, of all these psychedelics bless you, bless me, and bless us all. We're gonna talk about microdosing, mushrooms, and LSD in this video. I've made videos in the past about my experience with microdosing. Perhaps I will make some more in the future, my experience. But in this video, we're gonna discuss what is microdosing, how often should you do it, and what is the dose? What is the optimal dose? Okay, so I'm first gonna tell you the sort of common wisdom out there and give you also some alternatives that I've experimented with. But I want to give you an emphasis on the common wisdom out there because I think it's pretty good, pretty solid when it comes to microdosing. So microdosing is a big thing in Silicon Valley because I mean these Elon Musk motherfuckers, these people, these smartass motherfuckers, they know how powerful it is for creativity in increasing well-being and creativity, and they simply don't have time to wait for science and evidence and proof. They're microdosing. They get everybody to microdose there. They just don't have time for bullshit. They know how good it is. They know how powerful it is. They know how immensely beneficial it is, and they're making use of it. It opens up your creativity, and then I don't even need to, I mean fuck, I can go on and on about the way they benefit you in so many ways, socially and in the gym, and oh my god. But they open up your creativity, and we'll focus on that creativity, right? They open up your mind, they open up your creativity. And so psychedelics, is LSD and mushrooms specifically we're talking here. It's the experience you're gonna have is very, very dose dependent. If you're doing 5 grams of mushrooms in silent darkness, Terence McKenna style, you are going, okay, to encounter aliens. And that's just the way it is. You're gonna encounter aliens, okay? However, the wisdom is, or the saying, or the logic is, what if I do small amounts? So small that I'm not gonna have those effects of being abducted by aliens and fucking angels are talking to me and I am everyone and everyone is me and all these crazy psychedelic experiences. What if I take a little bit and just go on about doing my daily life, my daily activities, going to work, going to the gym, writing my book, making my videos, whatever. So this is how it goes. And a lot of people now are getting onto this and they're microdosing. So we'll talk about mushrooms and LSD. How much should you do? So a therapeutic dose of mushrooms, magic psilocybin mushrooms, usually is about 3 grams, between 2 and 3 grams. So let's say between 2 and 3 grams is your therapeutic dose. The therapeutic dose is basically the dose you get where you have like an experience, a psychedelic experience, a mystical experience, right? Your ego sort of dissolves and you become one and you get these revelations and you feel reborn, rebirth, right? Therapeutic. They're using it to cure depression. I talked about the John Hopkins study, between 2 and 3 grams of psilocybin mushroom. A microdose, a small amount of dose that will not make you feel any of the feelings but will make you feel a little bit different, a slight bit tweak, is between 0.2 grams and 0.6 grams. And 0.6 is on the upper limit. Probably a little less than that, 0.5. So between 0.2 grams and 0.5 grams. That is, between 5 and 10% or 5-15% of your therapeutic dose. If your therapeutic dose is 2 grams, you're taking in 0.2, or if it's 3 grams, you're taking in 0.3. It's about 10%, roughly, plus minus 5, right? You take that, and then here's what happens. You don't trip balls. You don't see visuals. You don't have angels talking to you. You don't have alien contact. You don't have crazy fucking theories that humans were monkeys that ate mushrooms, like, stone ape theories and all of that. No, you're still normal. You're still out here in the world. It's just that everything is brighter somehow, and everything is better, and you're more in a flow state. That's why these guys in Silicon Valley use microdosing. They microdose LSD. Flow state. Really, what we're looking for here, what we want is the flow state. And microdoses of psilocybin mushrooms and LSD, they put you in a flow state where everything just flows. You're not tripping balls. You're not having mystical experiences. You're just dancing in the world. You're open. You're receptive. You're creative. Your mind is open. You go into walking into nature and you're so immersed in nature. You're just having a really fucking good time. But you're still you. Everything you're doing, everything the same. Your ego's there. It's not dissolved. You recognize who you are. You're doing things a little better than you usually would, actually. So the dose for that, for magic mushrooms, psilocybin mushrooms, is between 0.2 grams and 0.5 grams. This is for you to experiment. For acid, for LSD, a therapeutic dose is usually a hit. You call it a hit, a tab. A tab usually has 100 micrograms. That is just your typical LSD tab, your typical hit. 100 micrograms. I don't know how much that would be equivalent to mushrooms. I did the conversion once. I think it came up to something like 3 grams. Equivalency, right? 3 grams. So it sounds about right. Therapeutic dose, 1 tab, 1 hit of acid, 100 micrograms, right? Therapeutic, same thing, the therapeutic benefits, you feel rebirth, a sense of a mystical experience, a sense of awe, oneness, connection with nature, connection with all, again, therapeutic dose, about a hit. So you're also doing the same thing. You're going about 5 to 15% of that therapeutic dose. So we're going here anywhere between 1/10 of a tab to 1/5 or 1/4 of a tab even. 1/4 is the higher limit, right? So the microdose of LSD is anywhere between 1/10 of a tab, 1/5 of a tab. Between that, again, you would have to experiment yourself and see how you feel. And it's always good to start on the lower end. So 0.2 and 1/10 of a tab. And the way you're gonna do it with LSD, there are 2 ways. There's the volumetric way. I don't know too much about it. I know how to cut tabs. I got better at it. You can use an X-Acto knife or really precise scissors. Either cut the tab. So the cutting, you take a tab. It's very small. That's why it's hard to cut to 1/10. I don't take 1/10. I take more. But if you're trying to do it to 1/10, it's hard. You probably wanna, if you're doing 1/10 or even 1/8 is possible. It's possible. You can just cut, it's a small tab, but you can cut it and then cut it again, so it's 4 times. Now you have 4 parts of it, and then take those 4 parts and cut them into halves. So now you have 8. So it's possible. When I do cutting, even if I'm taking 1/8 only, I'm still cutting, right? I've never done the volumetric, but you can do the volumetric way. I've never done it. You can do some research on it online. But as far as I understand, you either get vodka, alcohol, or distilled water. It's important that the water is distilled. It doesn't have chlorine and other, I think chlorine and maybe other compounds, they affect the content of the LSD. So you might not trip if it's regular water. I don't know. I never tried. But distilled water or vodka, you get the tab. It's 100 micrograms. You put it in, I think 10 milliliter of either distilled water or alcohol. I think 10 milliliters. I'm not sure. Do your research. And then you basically you mix it. You let it there for a day. Sit there for a day. And then every 1 milliliter of that 10 milliliter is going to be equivalent to 10 micrograms. So 1/10 of a tab. Okay. So you can do it the volumetric way, the cutting way. Again, the microdose is anywhere between 1/10 of a tab to 1/5 of a tab, right? The same feelings as mushrooms. Really, I've microdosed both, and I really didn't see much of a difference. The only difference with and why I prefer microdosing acid over psilocybin mushrooms, with microdosing LSD, it lasts twice as long. So when I microdose, I wake up in the morning, I microdose, it lasts me pretty much the whole day. 12 hours, 8 to 12 hours, the whole day. Just mushrooms is shorter, about half the length, from my experience anyway, right? So this is what it is, right? So again, Just to recap, and then we'll go on frequency now, right? Frequency. But to recap, right, a microdose is you're taking a small 5 to 15% portion of the therapeutic dose of psilocybin mushroom or LSD. Therapeutic dose for psilocybin mushroom is about 2 to 3 grams. So then your microdose will be between 0.2 grams to 0.4, 0.5 grams, even 0.6. And 0.6 is a little bit too much. For LSD, you're taking your therapeutic dose is a tap, about 100 micrograms usually. You take that 100 micrograms and you're taking between 1/10 of a tap to 1/5. In between that range is going to be your preferred microdose. You can either cut the tabs. If you want to do eighth, you can take a small tap, cut it into half, cut it into another half. That's 4 parts of it, 4 pieces, and then take each piece, cut it into half again. Now you have 8 pieces, and that's your microdose is that 1/8. And then you go on about your day and you see how you feel. So that's the how much a microdose is. Okay, again, the feelings, you'll feel more creative, you'll feel more open, more in flow. To put it in simple terms, you're more in the state of flow, which is a state for creativity, that's why if you microdose, you go to the gym, it's unbelievable. You write a book or you make these videos or whatever, it's unbelievable. You do your work, it's unbelievable. You're in flow. So everything is better because you're in flow. And it really, that's what it does. It puts you in flow. So, now that's how much. As for frequency, so let's talk about the conventional wisdom out there, and then I'm gonna tell you guys what I do. So I wouldn't go with what I do. I actually wouldn't. I would go with the conventional wisdom, okay? And I want to emphasize more on the conventional wisdom. So let's go with the conventional wisdom here. James Fadiman, I think his name. He is known as the microdosing guy. He's got a book, I think it's called The Psychedelic Experience. I forget exactly the full name of it. James Fadiman, just look him up. He writes about, he actually did studies on people microdosing, right? He took it more from a scientific perspective, and he says that the best way to microdose is to do 1 day on, 2 days off. So let's say today you take 1/8 of a tab, or you take 0.2 grams of mushrooms. You go on about your day. The effects usually carry to the next day. So you'll wake up the next day, you'll feel something, you'll feel more in flow, right? You'll feel more in flow. It's not as, the effects are not as profound, but they're still there. You'll feel more in flow the second day because the effects carry on. And then the third day, you take a break to reset the tolerance. And if you're doing, and then it's recommended that you recycle after 90 days. So after 90 days of that, maybe take a week off or so, 2 weeks off, and then you come back at it again. That's just his recommendation, right? And he's an expert at this stuff. So again, first day you take your microdose, whatever it is, 0.2 grams of psilocybin, or 1/8 or 1/6 of a tab of LSD if you want to go a little bit more. And you experiment, you see what, you maybe start with 1/10 of a tab, see how you feel. Then if you feel like you can go a little bit more, you want to get a little bit more effects, you do 1/8, then you do 1/6, you see, you experiment. But you take your microdose, whatever you come up to see that works for you, because some people are just really sensitive to this stuff. Then you take the next 2 days off, and then you repeat again. So 1 day on, 2 days off. That's the conventional wisdom, and that's what I would do, to be honest. If I was microdosing, that's what I would do, especially if I'm starting off. That's certainly what I did while I was starting off. Now, there are other ways you can experiment with this, and I'll tell you guys about things you can try, right? You can try a 1 day on, 1 day off. Your tolerance, I don't know, tolerance is different. For me, I clear up the tolerance pretty fast, but then I have a really fast metabolism. I have a really everything happens in my body so quickly. I'm very athletic. I'm very always moving, right? So my metabolism is very fast. My tolerance doesn't need 2 days to be reset. It usually just needs 1 day. So you can try 1 day on, 1 day off. You can try that as well. So you do 1 day on, take your 1/6, 1/8 of a tab or whatever, 1 day off, 1 day on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 1 day off, and you just do alternating. Then maybe at some point you stop for a week or two, you recycle, come back again. That's another option you can do, right? Another option you can do is 2 days on, 1 day off. Or 2 days on, 2 days off. You can experiment with this. See where I'm going with this, guys? You can experiment with it all you want. You can try this, try that, try this, try that. You can do 2 days off, 2 days on. Or 2 days on, 2 days off. The thing is, with the second day, the tolerance goes up. The tolerance goes up very quickly. So if you do the first day 1/10 of a tap, you're probably going to need to do 1/8 of a tap the next day to get the same feelings as 1/10 of a tap. Just to get the same feelings, just to catch up. So you can do 2 days on, 2 days off. Or 2 days on. If your tolerance, my tolerance, nothing. I take 1 day off, it's like I'm a psychedelic version again. It's really weird. But I always clear things up for my system very quickly. So for me, I take that 1 day off, and honestly, same feeling if I take a sixth or a fifth after a day. If I do 2 days on, 1 day off, and I go again, same feeling, really. I know myself, I experiment a lot with my body. My tolerance resets fast. So you're gonna see what your tolerance is like too. Everybody's different, different variables, etc., etc. So you can do 2 days on, 2 days off. You take the first day a 10th or an 8th, then you increase it to a 6th the next day just to get the same feelings, and then you take a day off. If your tolerance resets really quickly, then you just repeat again. If your tolerance doesn't reset quickly, you take 2 days off and you repeat again. You can go on and on with different variations of this, but the conventional wisdom says 1 day on, 2 days off. So start off with that. If you're thinking of microdosing, start off with 1 day on, 2 days off. That's conventional wisdom. And what I do right now, after a lot of experimentation, is actually I do like 5 days on, 2 days off right now. And I've heard Paul Stamets, the mushroom guy, talk about this in the Joe Rogan podcast, in the Joe Rogan Experience. Look up Paul Stamets podcast with Joe Rogan. If I remember, I'll put the link for it. Amazing guy. He's the mushroom guy. He's the mushroom expert in the world. Okay, the mushroom guy. He was wearing a mushroom hat in while he was in the podcast, and he mentioned how for him, or he was talking about someone else, that a microdosing regimen is 5 days on, 2 days off. James Fadiman says 1 day on, 2 days off. And then I heard Paul Stamets talk about 5 days on, 2 days off. But I don't wanna say it because I'm not sure, and because I don't know what context he was talking about. But that's kind of what I do right now. And the way I do it, so this is just me. I don't do what I do. Please, guys. I would go 1 day on, 2 days off, okay? Seriously, and then experiment on your own. What I do is I'll take the first 2 days, I'll take the same dose. So let's say I take 1/6 of a tap, right? It affects me a little bit less the second day, but I still feel the effects. I'm still feeling the microdose. Then I go a little bit more, so I'll go like 1/5 of a tap, or 1/4 even sometimes, and I'll go 2 days in a row like that, okay? And then the 5th day, I'll do 1/3. And then I'll take 2 days off to reset the tolerance. See, this is this typical, kind of what I've been doing recently, and I'm always changing with this stuff. Always changing, always experimenting, right? So I'll do a 6th, a 6th, a 4th, and a 4th. And I'm just doing that just to catch up with the tolerance, mind you, okay? That's why I increase it. So when I take the 1/4, I'm still feeling the 1/6 effects. It's not like crazy. Then on the 5th day, just to, again, reset, because to offset the tolerance, I'll do 1/3, which is a little bit over a microdose. But at that point, it is kind of a microdose for me because I'm just trying to offset the tolerance here. Then I take 2 days off. Usually, those 2 days off are more than enough to reset my tolerance. Again, that's just my body. I know my body. I know the way it works. I'm very sensitive to it. 2 days usually reset my tolerance, and then I go again. 5 days. So that's what I do right now. And I heard Paul Stamets talk about a 5 days, 2 day split, but I don't know of anyone. I don't even know. He didn't talk about it in detail. I don't know of anyone else that's doing that, right? So what I would do if I was you and I wanted to get into microdosing is I would just do a day on and 2 days off. And I would start off with that and experiment with that. And I would play around to see what is the best thing for me. Is it a 10th of a tap? Is it 0.2 grams? Is it 0.3 grams? Is it an 1/8? Is it a 1/6 of a tap? Is it a 1/4 of a tap even? A 1/4 is your borderline. You're kind of microdosing, not really. It's sort of, you're still in that microdosing. I think it's on the higher end of microdosing, right? a fourth of a tab. So you see, like, where is my comfort zone? Where am I here? I don't want this turning into a trip. I want to just be, functional, in state of flow. You experiment with it, you see what's good for you, and then you can start, as you get more into it, play around a little bit with frequency tolerance, see how your tolerance is, how it resets, etc., etc., etc. Okay? So, that is it. That is what I have to say about the frequency and everything else. Be responsible in your use. Obviously, I do not endorse the use of any psychoactive substances, legal or illegal. This video is made strictly for educational purposes because, I'm just trying to share experiences and share some insights and some perspectives on anyone who is maybe interested in improving their lives through the method of microdosing. And yeah, I think it's pretty self-evident. You know what? Forget it. No self-evident, no bullshit, no ranting. That's it. That's where the video ends. God bless you all. God bless you all. Love you guys. Love every single one of you. Be responsible in your use. Be responsible. And that's it. Do your own research. Don't trust me. I'm a bullshitter. I'm a fucking bullshitter. Don't trust me. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. Do your own research. God bless you all. Don't forget to subscribe, or you're gonna sleep with the fishes.